Over the past 31 years, the Mortal Kombat franchise has released 27 games. From arcade games to mobile spin-offs, the franchise has produced legendary classics and catastrophic failures that nearly killed the series entirely. So today, I'm breaking down every single Mortal Kombat game ever made, starting with the original, Mortal Kombat. The original Mortal Kombat game launched in arcades in 1992, developed by Midway Games and created by Ed Boon and John Tobias as a fighting game featuring digitized actors for realistic character models. It introduced 7 playable characters, including iconic fighters like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Liu Kang, who competed in a tournament to prevent the sorcerer Shang Tsung from conquering Earthrealm. The game became notorious for its graphic violence, including the fatality system where winners could perform brutal finishing moves, such as Scorpion's Toasty, Fire Breath attack. This violence sparked widespread controversy, leading to U.S. congressional hearings in 1993 and the establishment of the Entertainment Software Rating Board to rate video games. Home console ports to the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis followed in 1993, with the Genesis version including a blood code to unlock uncensored content, which boosted sales significantly. The game's success laid the foundation for the entire franchise, selling over 6 million copies by 1994 and inspiring numerous sequels and media adaptations. Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2 debuted in arcades in 1993 as a sequel that expanded the roster to 12 playable characters, including new additions like Kitana, Kung Lao, and Baraka. The plot continued from the first game, with Shao Kahn hosting a new tournament in Outworld after Shang Tsung's defeat, aiming to merge realms, with Earthrealm warriors fighting to stop him. Key features included new finishing moves like Friendships and Babilities, which added humorous alternatives to fatalities and improved graphics with more detailed digitized sprites. The game intensified the series' violence, leading to further scrutiny, but it achieved massive commercial success, becoming the highest-grossing arcade game of 1993. Ports to various home systems, including the Super NES and Genesis, were released in 1994, with some versions censored for blood and gore. It introduced hidden characters like Jade, Noob Saibot, and Smoke, accessible via specific conditions, enhancing replayability and fan engagement. Mortal Kombat 3. Released in arcades in 1995 by Midway Games, Mortal Kombat 3 advanced the series with a new run button for faster movement and combo dials for extended attacks, featuring 15 playable characters including newcomers like Sindel, Shiva, and Cyrax. The storyline depicted Shao Kahn invading Earthrealm after reviving Queen Sindel, with surviving warriors like Liu Kang and Kung Lao resisting the merger of realms. Innovations included animalities, where victors transformed into animals for finishing moves, and multi-level stages allowing uppercuts to knock opponents to different arenas. The game's heightened violence continued the franchise's controversial reputation, but it sold well, with home ports for PlayStation, Sega Genesis, and Super NES arriving later in 1995. It also featured combat codes, symbols input during versus screens to unlock modifiers like unlimited running or hidden fights. Despite criticism for missing some fan-favorite characters like Scorpion, it maintained the series' popularity through its refined gameplay mechanics. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, an updated version of Mortal Kombat 3, was released in arcades in late 1995 by Midway Games, adding characters like Scorpion, Reptile, Kitana, Jade, and Ermac to address fan feedback, bringing the roster to 23. The plot remained focused on Shao Kahn's invasion of Earthrealm, with expanded endings for characters emphasizing heroic triumphs over evil. Key features included new stages, brutalities as rapid combo finishers, and a tournament mode supporting up to 8 players. This version was developed quickly to revive arcade interest after MK3's initial run, and it included home console ports in 1996 for systems like the Super NES and Sega Saturn. It resolved some balance issues from MK3 and introduced Human Smoke as a hidden character. The game's release helped sustain the franchise's arcade dominance amid growing competition from 3D fighters. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, developed by Midway Games, launched in 1996 for the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and other platforms as a compilation combining elements from the first 3 games and their updates. It featured nearly every character from the series up to that point, totaling 36 playable fighters, with the story recapping the tournaments and invasions across the original timeline. New features included the aggressor bar for temporary speed and power boosts, and brutalities as explosive combo finishers. The game was criticized for balance issues due to mixing characters from different engines, but it sold over 3 million copies, capitalizing on the franchise's popularity. Ports varied by platform, with the Nintendo 64 version released in 1996, including unique adjustments for cartridge limitations. It served as a capstone to the 2D era of the series, incorporating all classic fatalities, animalities, and babilities. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero, a spin-off developed by Midway Games, was released in 1997 for PlayStation and Nintendo 64 as an action-adventure game focusing on Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero. The plot served as a prequel to the first Mortal Kombat, where Sub-Zero was hired by Quan Chi to retrieve an amulet from a temple, unwittingly aiding the fallen elder god Shinnok's escape from the Nether Realm. Key features included side-scrolling gameplay with platforming, puzzles, and combat using Sub-Zero's ice powers, along with live-action cutscenes for storytelling. The game received mixed reviews for its difficult controls and high difficulty, selling over 1 million copies but often cited as one of the weaker entries. It introduced inventory management and elemental bosses representing wind, earth, water, and fire. This was the first in a planned mythology series for individual characters, but poor reception halted further developments. Mortal Kombat 4. Mortal Kombat 4, developed by Midway Games, debuted in arcades in 1997 and marked the series' transition to 3D graphics using polygon models instead of digitized sprites. The storyline introduced Shinnok as the main antagonist, who invaded Edenia after escaping the Netherrealm, with Earthrealm warriors like Liu Kang fighting to stop him. It featured 15 initial characters, including new ones like Fujin, Jarek, and Reiko, with weapon-based combat allowing fighters to draw unique arms during battles. The game was the last arcade release in the series and included maximum damage caps to prevent infinite combos. Home ports for PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and PC arrived in 1998, with the Nintendo 64 version praised for its fluidity. Controversies arose from the shift to 3D, which some fans felt lost the charm of 2D entries, but it still sold well with over 1 million units. Mortal Kombat Gold. Mortal Kombat Gold, an updated version of Mortal Kombat 4, was released in 1999 exclusively for the Sega Dreamcast by Eurocom and Midway Games as a launch title. It expanded the roster to 23 characters by adding classics like Baraka, Cyrax, Kitana, Kung Lao, Mileena, Sector, and hidden fighter Noob Saibot. The plot followed the same Shinnok invasion narrative as MK4, with improved endings and additional stages. Key features included refined 3D graphics, new weapons, and fatalities, though it suffered from launch bugs like crashes and missing content that were later patched. The game was criticized for technical issues, earning lower review scores, but it helped introduce the series to Dreamcast users. A planned new character, Balak, was cut due to time constraints, remaining only in concept art. Mortal Kombat Special Forces, a spin-off developed by Midway Games, launched in 2000 for the PlayStation as an action-adventure game starring Major Jackson Jax Briggs. The plot served as a prequel where Jax pursued Kano and the Black Dragon clan to prevent them from obtaining the Eye of Chidian, an artifact that opened portals to other realms. Gameplay involved third-person shooting, melee combat, and exploration, with levels featuring boss fights against Black Dragon members like Jarek and Tremor. The game was plagued by development issues, including the departure of co-creator John Tobias, leading to cut content like multiplayer and Sonya Blade as a playable character. It received poor reviews for clunky controls, repetitive gameplay, and bugs, making it one of the least favored entries in the series. Sales were low, and it introduced Tremor, who later appeared in future games as DLC. Mortal Kombat Advance. Mortal Kombat Advance, developed by Virtuecraft and published by Midway Games, was released in 2001 for the Game Boy Advance as a port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It retained the original's plot of Shao Kahn's invasion, with 23 characters including hidden ones like Human Smoke and Motaro. Key features included simplified controls adapted for handheld, but the port suffered from poor AI, choppy animations, and reduced gore to fit the platform. The game was heavily criticized for technical flaws, earning scores as low as 33 out of 100 from Electronic Gaming Monthly, which called it unfair and dumb. Despite this, it included secret fights against bosses like Shao Kahn. It represented the series' attempt to expand to handhelds, but is often regarded as one of the worst ports due to hardware limitations. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, developed by Midway Games, was released in 2002 for PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and Game Boy Advance as the fifth mainline entry. The plot revolved around sorcerers Quan Chi and Shang Tsung forming an alliance to kill Liu Kang and conquer realms using the undead army of King Jared. It introduced a new fighting system with multiple styles per character and the conquest mode for tutorials and lore. The game removed the run button and added weapons, with 23 characters including newcomers like Blaze, Bo Rai Cho, and Frost. It was praised for reviving the series after a hiatus, selling over 3.5 million copies, but criticized for no stage fatalities. A separate Game Boy Advance port, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance for GBA, featured adjusted gameplay for handheld. Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition. Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, developed by Midway Games, was released in 2003 exclusively for the Game Boy Advance as an enhanced version of the Deadly Alliance port. It added 3 new characters, Serena, Sector, and Noob Saibot, and included tag team battles and multi-link play for up to 4 players. The plot mirrored Deadly Alliance, focusing on the Sorcerer's Pact in the tournament's aftermath. Key features included weapon fatalities and a survival mode, adapted for handheld with simplified graphics. The game was well received for GBA standards, offering more content than the original port. It served as a companion to Deadly Alliance, emphasizing multiplayer elements unique to the portable format. Mortal Kombat Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception, developed by Midway Games, launched in 2004 for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, with a GameCube version in 2005. The storyline introduced Onaga the Dragon King as the antagonist, resurrecting and controlling deceased warriors, with Shujinko as a new protagonist manipulated into gathering Kamidogu artifacts. Key features included interactive arenas with death traps, chess and puzzle minigames, and an expanded conquest mode as an open-world RPG. The roster featured 26 characters, with online multiplayer introduced for the first time in the series. It sold over 1 million copies in its first month and was lauded for depth, though some criticized balance issues. A premium edition included bonus content like character bios and a history DVD. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, developed by Midway Studios LA, was released in 2005 for PlayStation 2 and Xbox as an action-adventure spin-off. The plot retold Mortal Kombat 2 from Liu Kang and Kung Lao's perspective, battling Shang Tsung's forces in Outworld after the tournament. Gameplay emphasized co-op beat-em-up mechanics, with upgrades for special moves, fatalities, and exploration in semi-open levels. It included versus mode and unlockable characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. The game received positive reviews for fun combat and fan service, selling over 1 million copies, but was criticized for camera issues. Fans clamored for a sequel, Fire and Ice, which was cancelled due to budget constraints. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Mortal Kombat Armageddon, developed by Midway Games, debuted in 2006 for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, with a Wii version in 2007. The plot culminated the original timeline with a battle royale at Edenia's Pyramid, where Blaze's defeat risked Armageddon destroying all realms. It boasted the largest roster with 62 characters, creative fighter customization, and aerial combat. Key features included motor combat racing minigame and a revamped conquest mode as an action-adventure with Taven. The game was praised for its comprehensive fan service, but criticized for simplified fighting styles and balance problems. It sold over 1.8 million copies and marked the end of the 3D era. Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Ultimate Mortal Kombat, developed by Other Ocean Interactive and published by Midway Games, was released in 2007 for the Nintendo DS as a port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It retained the invasion plot with 26 characters, including classics like Scorpion and new additions from UMK3. Key features included Wi-Fi online play, puzzle combat minigame from Deception, and touchscreen controls for fatalities. The port was acclaimed for faithful recreation and added multiplayer options, earning high review scores. It introduced endurance mode challenges and was noted for smooth performance on DS hardware. This version helped bring classic MK to portable audiences with modern connectivity. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, developed by Midway Games, later NetherRealm Studios, launched in 2008 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 as a crossover fighting game. The plot involved realms merging due to Shao Kahn and Darkseid's defeat, causing rage that equalized powers, with heroes and villains clashing. It featured 22 characters, 11 from each universe, with toned-down violence for a teen rating to accommodate DC characters. Key features included free-fall combat for mid-air battles and close combat for close-up fights. The game received mixed reviews for gameplay but criticism for reduced gore, selling over 1.9 million copies. It was Midway's last game before bankruptcy, with Warner Bros. Acquiring the IP Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2011, developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, was released for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 as a reboot retelling the first 3 games' events. The plot followed Raiden receiving visions from his future self, altering the timeline to prevent Armageddon with tournaments against Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn. It introduced X-ray moves showing internal damage and a cinematic story mode. The roster included 28 characters plus DLC like Freddy Krueger, with online King of the Hill mode. It sold over 4 million copies, praised for returning to 2.5D gameplay and mature content. Ports to PlayStation Vita in 2012 and PC in 2013 expanded its reach. Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection. Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection, developed by Other Ocean Interactive and NetherRealm Studios, was released in 2011 for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC as a compilation of the first 3 games. It included faithful ports of Mortal Kombat, MK2, and UMK3, with their original plots of tournaments and invasions. Key features were online multiplayer, leaderboards, and achievements, preserving arcade authenticity. The collection was criticized for minor emulation issues but praised for accessibility. It sold digitally, appealing to nostalgic fans. This was the first official compilation of the classics with modern enhancements. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, published by Warner Bros., was released in 2013 for PC as an enhanced version of the 2011 reboot, including all DLC. It retained the altered timeline plot with additional characters like Scarlet, Kenshi, Rain, and Freddy Krueger. Features included the full story mode, Challenge Tower, and Crypt unlocks. The PC port offered improved graphics and keyboard support. It was well received for completeness, selling strongly on Steam. This edition made the reboot accessible to PC players after console exclusivity. Mortal Kombat X. Mortal Kombat X, developed by NetherRealm Studios, launched in 2015 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, introducing a 25-year time jump in the reboot timeline. The plot followed a new generation of fighters, like Cassie Cage, battling Shinnok and his forces after his release from an amulet. Key features included character variations for different playstyles, brutal X-ray moves, and guest characters like Jason Voorhees and Predator via DLC. It emphasized online factions and living towers with dynamic challenges. The game sold over 11 million copies, praised for graphics and story, but faced launch issues on PC. A mobile companion app was released concurrently for card-based combat. Mortal Kombat Mobile. Mortal Kombat Mobile, developed by NetherRealm Studios, was released in 2015 for iOS and Android as a free-to-play fighting and card collection game. It featured a non-canonical plot where players assembled teams to battle in tournaments across realms. Key features included touch-based combat, character upgrades, and synergies with the console MKX for cross-unlocks. The game incorporated fatalities and X-rays, with regular updates adding new characters and events. It has been downloaded over 100 million times, but criticized for microtransactions. In 2023, it was updated to tie into Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat XL. Mortal Kombat XL, an enhanced edition of MKX developed by NetherRealm Studios, was released in 2016 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It included all DLC, adding characters like Alien, Leatherface, Triborg, and Bo Rai Cho, continuing the post-Shinnok conflict plot. Features encompassed improved netcode for online play and new skins. The edition was lauded for completeness and balance patches. It sold as an upgrade, enhancing the base game's longevity. PC users received it after initial port troubles were resolved. Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11, developed by NetherRealm Studios, launched in 2019 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, with a Stadia version later. The plot introduced Kronika, the Keeper of Time, who reset the timeline to eliminate Raiden, blending past and present selves in conflict. Key features included custom character variations, fatal blows, and crushing blows for cinematic attacks. The roster started with 25 characters, adding DLC like Terminator and Joker. It sold over 12 million copies, praised for story and graphics, but controversial for grindy progression initially. Updates addressed issues, and it featured crossplay in some modes. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, published by Warner Bros., was released in 2020 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X divided by S, and other platforms as an enhanced edition. It bundled all DLC, including Aftermath expansion with a new story where Shang Tsung manipulated time post-Chronica. Features included 4 Kelvin's upgrades, faster load times, and additional characters like Melina, Rain, and Rambo. The expansion added new endings and stages. It was acclaimed for next-gen optimizations and completeness. This version concluded the MK11 era with over 37 characters. Mortal Kombat Onslaught. Mortal Kombat Onslaught, developed by NetherRealm Studios, was released in 2023 for iOS and Android as a mobile action RPG spin-off. Set in a separate timeline, the plot involved assembling teams to battle threats in a multiverse crisis triggered by Shinnok's quest for souls. Key features included real-time squad combat, character collection, and narrative campaigns with RPG elements like leveling. The game emphasized co-op events and crossovers with console entries. It received mixed reviews for monetization but praise for deep mechanics. It was shut down in October 2024 after 1 year of service. Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1, developed by NetherRealm Studios, launched in 2023 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X divided by S, Nintendo Switch, and PC as a soft reboot. The plot started a new timeline created by Fire God Liu Kang, where familiar characters had altered origins, facing threats from Shang Tsung and a multiverse invasion. Key features included cameo fighters for assist moves, aerial combos, and an invasions mode as a single-player RPG. The roster featured 24 base characters with DLC, adding guests like Omni-Man and Peacemaker. It sold over 3 million copies in its first months, lauded for fresh storytelling and gameplay. Controversies included performance issues on Switch and paid fatalities, but updates improved balance. If you enjoyed this video and want to see every single Scorpion fatality explained, click the video on the screen now.